That's a river, part of the ocean, I believe.
You think it might be the mouth of the Congo River?
I don't know.
It's a big one, isn't it?
Once we came on a freighter, and that was fun. There weren't too many of the crew, and we had extra good accommodations in there. We had single rooms and not too many other people. I mean, it wasn't just us, about a dozen missionaries. We had a great time going down the coast or somewhere. I'll have to rethink my life. You know what? That looks like Virginia Pruitt.
Where?
To this side.
Really?
Yeah, Mrs. Pruitt. She was one of our teachers, but it could have been a Montreal problem. Her face, I remember.
Who's that? It's not you, is it?
Well, I don't think so. But anyway, it's a calf. If it could have.
Do you think we're into Grandpa's pictures here?
It might be. That looks like the calf I had in Congo. And it got a little wild, and somebody wanted to buy it and pushed him right up against one of the buildings. I really didn't want to sell it by that time. I was afraid it might bump somebody and hurt him.
Saw a lot of cattle pictures in here. You didn't take pictures of cattle, did you?
Well, see, we bought some. I bought one. And that black one could have been the calf of that one. When I was at Kakimba, those little grubby trees looked like it could be some of the African trees. See, the tsetse fly gave cows the African sleep sickness.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, some places we couldn't have cows and get milk like that, but we did down at Kakimba. Some of these might have been daddies if they were. Who knows? Big church at Kakimba. Well, anyway, we can go on ahead anyway. You know. Soon I'll find out just exactly where it is. It's like Mooncommon Lake. It's where we used to go for vacations all the time. This is the one the natives said. One time there was a big rain. There was a village in this valley. And all of a sudden the big rain came and covered everything, the whole village. And the Africans wouldn't even want to go in there swimming and live. It was quite a long time till they agreed to it. In the meantime, we had a vacation house there. Several of them. I mean, the mission had made them. We didn't own the houses, you know. But some people built them. It was a good meeting place. And some of the missionaries liked to sail on it. This was one body of water that did not have crocodiles in it. And this is the one that we think they were talking about, like in their history of long before. Maybe it was the history going back to the flood. when a big rain came and the village was covered up.
It says on the back of the slide, football.
Well, our student nurses and all those, they had some kind of ball game. I used to go down there, but I couldn't really teach them much. But we had uniforms that came in right across. This may well have been down a little on there. There's the kind of goats we had out there. They don't look like any other kind of goats, do they?
No. It says train station. Is that a train station?
Probably maybe it was a little bird. The goats, that's the kind of goats that saved my life with little small amounts of milk at a time. And when Daddy said, well, they'd bring the goats for rent. I mean, if they had kids, and then they'd bring them and they would milk them in the morning and then in the evening. And Mother said, well, now this can't, you must have put some water in this. This is too cold for milk to come from a goat right away, you know. It would have been warm. So the next time the milk came warm, and they knew they put some hot water in it. That's why things like that had to be boiled. Now, this, I think was the mission press where Grandpa printed books and all. But this may be a missionary's wedding.
It says something in Lubundai.
Yeah. There was some of our teachers weren't married all at once, but I think we kids who were like high school age or under, that we were in the wedding. It's the first time I ever owned a pair of hose.
This one says SS class.
Sunday school class.
Sunday school class.
Yeah, this is a school, and this is the way school buildings were built. Open windows, you know. They didn't have to have them closed in with glass.
The temperature was stayed about the same all the time.
Between 60 and 80, it could go up a little 85. It was one of the most comfortable places.
Were the mosquitoes bad?
They were there. There were mosquitoes. Where we had the running water, Kakimbu, and because the running water, people didn't turn off the faucet, sometimes there were puddles around. And one time, I can't be absolutely sure about which station this was on. One time, we had an awful thing happen. It was one of the most scared I was in my life. Not even more scared than the elephant. There was a child, an African child, who came to Kakimbu to visit the grandparents. And came from the Toto, where they have a very bad kind of malaria. And I didn't know a thing about it until all of a sudden the child got sick. And within a day, He didn't even have very high fever, but had convulsions, and within a day he died. And they had no telephones. The grandparents were at Kakenda. The family had gone on a trip. They weren't even in the total. There seemed no way at all to contact him. And so some of the missionaries and Africans, we went down and sat in the floor on a chair or on the floor of the African house where the grandparents lived, and here was the child's body lying there on the floor on the mat. But I'm sure that the mosquitoes got contaminated at that time. And after that, we really got an epidemic. They never had anybody die of Kakuma up until that time. And there were lots of Christian people. I'm not absolutely certain if this was the station, but anyway, that time I was really scared to death. We didn't have a doctor in residence, but there was one from the Divine Station who would come up once a month to see, and Kasha Station was near there, so there might be a Kasha, or he'd find out if we had any patients that needed any special attention. And this one time, there were a number of people. Oh, the grandparents didn't know what to do. They were trying all sorts of ways to contact him. And it was a journey by car to the southern station, and they probably got on the train and go somewhere else. And my cook's baby and several other babies, real healthy babies. Is that me?
Mm-hmm.
I had a ring on that time. A ring, so I must have been married by that time.
Well, that's you now.
You took it today?
I'm taking it right now.
You are.
Well, I was going to let you finish telling about the doctor and the parents of the baby, the grandparents.
Well, so they just didn't bury the child in the ground, but they made a hole and had rats on the floor. I don't know if they had a coffin, but they put the child in that and put it. See, there are my hands. I'm moving all around.
That's okay. You talk to me. Don't talk to the TV. You talk to me. I'm just working here.
So, I don't know which child came first, but they had no fever. They were just almost cold, and then started to have convulsions. And I did not know what to do. So we sent over somebody to talk to the doctor who had just come to Kasha. That was 15 miles away from our station. And he said, well, that's new, and you have to give quinine by intramuscular injection. Now, that's a large amount of quinine. And also a large amount of phenobarbital. Adult dose of phenobarbital. My hypodermic helped to quell these convulsions. Otherwise, I didn't know what to do. We had a series of babies, one after the other, my own cook's baby, and a number of others, and one of the ones was the baby of a lovely family. They had 11 children. They had never lost a child. This baby was fat and healthy. The mother nursed all the children, of course, what you do in Africa. And the man was one of the head preachers that was teaching Bible there at the school. And this is one thing that happened to me. I thought the other night when they had a funeral, memorial service, they have them here from time to time or somebody that used to live here. And sometimes they don't have the body here, sometimes they later have the memorial service. But I've often thought that happened to be one of my jobs. Not that anybody told me to, but when this preacher had 11 children, when that baby, I had to go give it a quinine shot, that baby died the same day. And the father, he went up to where they were buried the child. And he preached the funeral service for that baby himself, and I followed a long way off. Tears just streamed down my face. I just felt, well, if I just could have done something more to help, but I guess the Lord just wanted to call me. That wasn't the only baby I could baby. After I found from this doctor what I could do, then I could give him quinine, which in more recent years they hated to do because sometimes that made a person go into black water fever. Black water fever meant that the urine was just black from blood cells that were broken up. And when they came to the urine, it made the urine real black. If you added water to it, you could see it was red because it was blurry. One time there was a missionary's job that we didn't got that, and it was easier to find a missionary and call them on radio in the later days. That child did not die. I was awfully comfortable. But so we didn't have any DDT and things like that on our station at Kakenda when this epidemic broke out. We had to do something to try to kill all those mosquitoes. I figured that probably everybody on that wasn't a real big village, but sort of big, had been bitten by all those mosquitoes that got contaminated from the blood of that child, because we all sat around with the family during the night. The windows were open, and the mosquitoes were around. And I figured that those mosquitoes must all be contaminated. So we had enough Adderall, and I took it upon myself to go out with a basket of Adderall, the medicine that we used then for malaria. And I went around 3 times a day in our school village and gave everybody some medicine to take to kill whatever germs were in them. And we got some DDT from a Belgian farmer that had a cattle farm about 10 miles away. They were very good to help. And I gave that, so we put that in all the outdoor toilets, that had covers over the hole that they used. Maybe they put lots of it. But we sprinkled that poison for the mosquitoes in each one, all up and down here. I went myself late in the day and gave them the pills for that day, how many they were supposed to take, and saw that they took it. And we all took it, the missionaries too. And I guess there were 4 babies that got that malaria died. I figured that I had to try to get rid of those malaria germs. It's the worst kind of malaria. And everybody who was around on that village. So I can't walk now, but all I had were tired feet by the time I went around home. I took video of me in all those houses. And then finally died out. They didn't have any more.
So did you get sick at that time?
No, I didn't get sick. I did like everybody else. I gave everybody the medicine to take. I took it myself. And all the other people that lived on the hill and also Workman's Village beyond. So I didn't like walking. I'm not so strong. Maybe remember I did it then. And we got rid of that. And I don't know how long we might have been free of it. But we took to station, which was a good 100 miles from this area. It was the one where missionaries had died from that kind of malaria from time to time over the years. And that, to see those little babies, and this one was just about 11 months old, such a beautiful family, so strong in their faith, so wise and good people. And the father had the courage to go. I don't know who dug the grave for him. It was done before I got there. I just couldn't stop crying all that time. I followed it a little distance so everybody couldn't see me crying. I didn't know. But it got over with in due time.
What is it? You recognize it?
Well, it's got to be the same area where the school. But those look sort of like houses with windows in them, don't they?
Yeah. Is that a crocodile? Looks like he's cutting it up. I bet you recognize this next one.
Bill Rule. Do you know that he and Johnny Miller both liked snakes? And in the dispensary, there's a big box, and there was, over a period of time, they had a python. I don't think that's a poison snake. I can't really see. It must be a python. They squeezed to death, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, in that box, well, then they had to get something to feed. I put a curtain over the box because that was where we examined the women, the pregnant women. Wouldn't like to look at that snake. But that wasn't so dangerous. But what John, I don't think they'll rule. No. I guess Bill Rule wasn't there when this happened. Johnny Rule was there. And Johnny, they taught some of those male students how to catch snakes for them safely and put them in a great big drum one at a time. And one time, there was a bite, a poisonous one. They put it in a big 50-gallon drum on the porch of the dispensary. And Miss Liston and I were very worried about it. And so chloroform, when I came out there, I didn't like that. I used ether, but I was a little afraid of using chloroform because it was stronger than So she and I went to the dispensary in the middle of the night. Margaret listened. And we didn't say anything to Johnny. You never know, we felt just like people planning a murder. We tried not, we didn't want to be caught. We sneaked down there, she and I. We went to the dispensary and we got some chloroform and we poured it into that big drum. And there was a thrashing around that snake in there. We were scared that some child, there were bags of beans and stuff for the students' kitchen. And we were afraid some child would climb up too close and maybe put their hand inside the room and get bitten. She and I was sincerely worried about it. But we didn't think John had agreed to kill a snake. But we got caught because the next day he had found out about it. Somebody told him. So, he said, Alice, I hear that you and Margaret killed my snake. I said, yes, we did. He said, how was that your snake? What right did you have to kill it? And I said, well, what were you going to do with it? He said, well, when it died, I was going to do an autopsy. I said, okay, do it now. I think he kept thinking bad things about us for years. So we had
They live on that.
Yeah, that's the first station where I was. And then again, I came back to that for my third term. The school, they used part of the building for school and then other buildings further back for school, for classes. And when we were little going to Central School, we always went to that church. And when it was new, the African chief who lived down the hill, he brought all the people from his village and made them sit down, eat on the floor. That church was so full when it was new. And we were sitting in the back and the pulpit was up here. And he didn't want his people out in the village getting into any fight or in any trouble. But he was gone, but he wanted to come to church. And then upstairs and downstairs, there were also like 4 classrooms, big rooms. And at night, we, children in Central School, we went to an English service, English prayer meeting. And we were all, I don't know exactly, well, we were about junior and even got senior high for 9 years old and up. And there were 2 little girls that always wanted to sit by me because they went to sleep. They said, now we're going to sit by you and we're going to go to sleep tonight. But when Uncle Alec was going to preach, they said, we're going to stay awake tonight because he preaches short sermons. We didn't have to go to sleep. Oh, my day. Ruth laughed. She said, all the crazy things you all did. Now, here's somebody with twins.
Yeah, it says twins born at Kakenda.
Kakenda. That was my station. It said that on the slide.
That's what it said.
The woman's face is for me. That was my first station.
Is that a picture of you?
Yeah, that is.
Is that one of the babies that you helped deliver and take care of?
I'm sure it was. And people from America sent us flannel baby dresses and also backyards for blankets. And it was pretty cool that day. I'm glad that picture's in there because I was talking to this lady here about those things. And if she sees them with her eyes, they'll understand a lot more.
So if I tilt it up a little bit.
I want to tell you something, Steve. It is just absolutely wonderful to think of all those women, all those people. They love children. They love the babies. And the other children too. And every time a new baby came, they'd come and take the little baby's hand and shake hands with the baby and be so happy. Well, I'm glad you found those.
Says I kick into Sunday school class. Thinks I made this for a Christmas card. This one doesn't have anything written on the back. Let's see if you can recognize.
This is the church. And you know, the benches in churches and all were just a board like that. There wasn't any back to them, except a very few. These look like some people that were waiting to have medicine near the dispensary. That's the kind of houses that they built. Some are bigger. I was born in a house of that type, except it was a little bigger than that. Oh, this is something that they made their own toys.
It's a nice toy.
Yes. At least I think they did. I can't remember. Oh, you know something? I think that dog was one of the Rule children. Carl Rule, maybe that was his because of those rubber tires. And he was playing with African children. They all got a ride. That was a school building. And I think that was, some of those were missionaries. John Miller, Mr. Anderson, and some Africans, probably African teachers and preachers. Mr. Andy Anderson. I believe,
Then say.
We also used to have a sort of a place where people could stay. Some were sick, some had tuberculosis, and they came from far away. And then we'd have some of these houses, some were all in one house. trying to see here.
Is that a structure?
Yeah, one time. Looks like a lot of students there. One time the young people on the station that we're going down, I'm not sure that this was it, but it could have been. Yeah, this was it. When I was a kid, I wanted to build a house like that. I just dreamed of it, I thought, with all those long, tall trees, with small like that. I was sure we could do it. And at Central School, we kids decided we wanted to do it. We asked the teachers, they didn't let us do it. They sent out men to do it, to cut those things and build us a playhouse. But I felt real cheated about that because I wanted us to do it. That's the way I felt.
Yeah, this is not a playhouse they're building, though, is it?
No, over here we have projects for young people to do.
Like Habitat for Humanity and stuff?
Yes. And so that year, here they are still building it. It was in Tullis Village, and in that village, the people, this woman didn't have anybody that was a relative, an old woman. And so the young people, there was a primary school, and a carpentry school, and a nursing school, and a boarding school. So each group, they had a job to do. The children in primary school went out and got the little sticks to tie across. They went with their matron or whoever was looking out for them. I go with them to go out to get those things. The older students, like the medical students who were about high school age, they went out and they got the poles that went into the ground, and then those long sticks that went all the way up, and then the little ones that had to be tied. They did that, and they brought them on for a period of time and put them down in my yard. Now, I wasn't doing this alone. I wasn't the only missionary, but there were 2 dentists there, and they had been assigned to do the youth work with me. And so they helped bring those things down in the truck when it got time to use them, but they kept accumulating in my yard. And I had a sentry in my yard, so nobody was going to steal them. And when the time came, the student nurses started with putting those poles up and then putting the cross pieces out. And then the girls were supposed to carry the water to make mud and hole in the backyard to fill in the walls and the floor and all that. And the girls were always chaperoned. I mean, they were born in school and somebody went with them, and usually it was me. This was really fun to watch that grow up. See, all the girls were bringing the water. Mm-hmm. And they wanted me to carry a bucket of water on my head.
On your head?
Yeah. And another place, they all made sun-dried bricks to help the African preachers build a guest house for the visiting clergy of the African evangelists. Here they were digging dirt to carry up. But we went down a very steep hill to get water up at that other village. And they said, Mom, put it on your head, it's a lot easier. The hill to carry up was real steep. I had to look down where I was stepping. This water came from on the station. I just carried it, but I knew I would fall right down that hill. But I did what I could with it, And it was a lot of fun. They made those sun-dried bricks. they with their feet, they mixed the water and the mud together. It was a lot of fun. We did that. One thing was sun-drawn bricks, and so that was their project. And finally, the boss from the carpenter school came and made windows with some boards, scratched around, got together, and a door, and with the lights. They loved it to have their pictures taken.
It looks like it.
That was really fun. I'm so glad you found those pictures.
It's like some kind of parade or festival, or
Maybe it was coming out of church.
okay.
And then, Steve, I'm going to tell you something funny. Oh, this thing that wasn't funny, though, in the village where we were building the house for the old lady, there were 2, 3 old men standing around watching. And I heard one of them say to the other, "We never saw anything like this. There are young people would be building a house for an old lady who had no relatives. Now we know that the love of God is true." And wasn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
All dressed up people, maybe the chief and some of the head people, I see some medical students said. We had some great. There's your woman. And you see what they're doing there, Steve?
Making mud bricks?
Making a bed.
Oh, making a bed.
Uh-huh. Well, I think
Yeah.
so.
I see that now.
Then they can put them up on fork sticks under the 4 corners and put mats over back off the floor. Some of us were down in the hole. They did some dirt and then pour some water in, step and sort of mix the mud with their feet between their toes. So our kind of habitat was a little different than here, but I think it was just as valuable. And you see they have some of those palm fronds in their hands. And I had not known, I guess, till that time that they would stick some of those down in through the mud to hold it all together. It was better. I learned a lot. I know now I couldn't have made that house with the little knowledge that I had now. Maybe I could.
Yeah, you could.
So on the mission board application, one of the questions was, could you build a house? And I said, yes. I had a little trouble today. In the last 2 days, I got my bill.
I think I'm going backwards.
Yeah, right there. It's okay. They go backwards and forwards if you want to.
Yeah. Let me see if I can start at the other end. We'll come back to this spot. Let's go back to the ocean. Or is that a lake? Is that a lake?
I think that was that lake, yeah. Where we had vacations. But that water we figured was good to drink out in the middle of the lake without us having to water anything. The lake was about 2 miles long, about half an hour wide. No crocodiles.
People like to fish in it.
Well, we kids, we fished out there. The boys showed us how. And I remember I'd hold out my dress so the fish wouldn't flop off from the pier and go into the water and run all down the pier and take it to land.
Is that the same lake?
No, I think that may be like this river, a tributary or a branch of the Congo River going down here. We'd go up and down on the riverboat, back and forth. The interior was 1,000 miles upriver.
1,000 miles.
Well, later they see how many people in that dugout community. Sometimes some of these canoes would come up alongside the riverboat, the paddle wheel riverboat, to get supplies for some of either the traders or missionaries or whoever they were. And in one canoe I saw a couple of little barrels of gooseberry's best flour. And I took a picture of it, and I've always meant if I ever found it, I would see if Pillsbury would like to have it. Well, that's an African market.
That looks like fun.
But what I need is, if I can find it, or somebody find it for me, is a picture of a banana tree, a big one. Because I have this story about the banana leaves. The husbands would go out and get banana leaves that were clean to the sun and to the rain, that their wife could sit on and not mess up their clothes if she was going to have a baby. And it was clean. And there was a woman who came to the hospital one time, and she lived in the village just not too far from the hospital, not real close, but she was intending to come to the hospital to have a baby. But it rained real hard that night, and she didn't make it and had the baby at home, and reached under the bed to get something to tie the cord with, and cut the cord. And both those babies, beautiful term twins, got tetanus because of that. That's why I tried to get messed up into that would not have that.
So you had them lay up banana leaves. So.
Yeah, and this lady here thinks that's the funniest thing. We have to have a skit with something funny. And so to think it's funny here, I don't really want to tell that story for all these people. What I'm afraid of is that they might not hear everything and might not understand everything. But she wants that. She said, we'll write it out, and I will put you on a tape recorder. Then we have to ration out the minutes you can talk. I have others that are just as interesting, but anyway, she has to have something funny. The end of that was that I went back to America that furlough and was going around different places speaking. Mission board was saying. And the night before I was supposed to speak in church in Florida, I was just talking with a man and his wife, or the wife and her husband, and just telling things casually about what happened in different ways out there. And so her husband, I didn't tell him about the name of the steam, which was sort of unusual. He got up there in front of everybody in that small church and he said, you know, it's real interesting. In Africa, the women had their babies on banana peels. I said, I nearly died of embarrassment, but I didn't try to correct him. I didn't know what to say. And that's what she thinks is so funny. Oh, something special.
Waiting for a boat to come?
A steamer to come up river. Red crocodiles in that river.
It's free.
It's probably one of Daddy's pictures for the site. And there's the kind of trains. You know, on those trains, oh, here's the train station. What would be like the Pullman, had 3 layers of beds. 1, 2, 3, and like, and you'd just be like lying on a shelf. That was going down through the Congo, Belgian Congo, toward Angola, and we rode that way for several days. And at night we burned wood on the boat, and a lot of sparks would come from the burning wood, little pieces of coal would blow out with the smoke. Sometimes they catch small blacks on fire. I don't know how it is anymore. And this is along the Congo River too. What does REC mean?
Record.
Oh, it's divided around an island, or sometimes parts of the river divided. It's a big river.
Rough water.
You know, there's a whirlpool down in the lower part of the Congo River. And one of our boats, you know, got sunk that way, ran the whirlpool. And turned over, and Mr. Martin and another missionary really went down with it. I think they could get on this some kind of board or something. And Mr. Martin, I think he managed to get over the chair. and floated along down the river. But my goodness, you could just think about a crocodile. You could wrap your legs. And then we came up here to Leopold.
What's it called now?
It was
The big one.
and there was a Union Mission house that we passed through. And it was a boarding place for missionaries coming through. And it was while I was going through that I found this painting. And that was a gold ring that was on the board.
This big.
We had to stay sometimes several weeks or a month at that place, and oh, it was so hot. But there were people who made things, pretty things like this, and brought them there and asked the missionaries if they could buy what they wanted and sell them as people went in and out. That's how I acquired them. I'm real glad. I really feel proud of it.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Dad said he sure wished his daughter had something like that to remember the various Americans. But Catholic nuns had taught him how to do it. And of course it was on just little boards, stretched across just a little board train.
That's the way it was painted. That's some beautiful sunsets here. I'm not sure if I've got this one right side up or upside down. Let's find out.
I think going up river, yeah.
Can't tell.
Going up river, if there were sunsets or sunrises like that, I got a whole lot of those.
Right, this one's black and white. I don't know if it's one of yours or. Is that you?
Now this is one. Yeah, this is one on the shirt.
Okay.
And I would like this lady to see it too, because there weren't enough chairs to go in, so I got the chair. I had the chair, I was given the stools to sit on. But these were houses in the camp that we had.
Hold on just a second.
They came a long distance away to the hospital at Lubanga, and they had no place to sleep. That was sort of a hotel. But they brought their own food along with them, and their family, their children. And the sick ones would go to stay in the hospital, the really sick ones. And I was reading Bible with them. There wasn't enough seats to sit on, so. But you know, it wasn't this house, but when they say that there's no more smallpox, it's hard for me to believe. I mean, I'm sure it's true if they say it's true, because that's a lot of years have gone by. But there was smallpox that popped up every once in a while when I was there in the early part of the time I went there. And one reason was because the vaccine, there was no refrigeration to keep the vaccine. If it got too hot, it wasn't any good. So I was just out sitting there talking with him, reading the Bible with him, and all that. And the first child that I ever saw, and at the time no doctor was there. See, we had them going and coming to doctors. There were only two for about two big hospitals. Well, they're not big compared to you, but, and then 5 dispensaries with about 100 miles in between. So it wasn't possible for him to go and stay at each place very long. But there was another house or two a little further down that way. And one child came with tetanus. And me and books, I know it must be a joke to a lot of people that I like to read books and look up things in books to study about. I'm still doing that to this day, even though I'm not doing the work. Bill Rule said the same thing in his book. We had to look up a lot of things in books to read about it, because we didn't have any other source of information. So I had one book. It was a medical book, and it was written by one of the doctors at Johns Hopkins. He was a Christian, and he used to come and teach Bible sometimes at the Christian Fellowship group of nurses and a few medical students. So I was real pleased when I saw this book was written by him, that doctor. Yeah. And I did a lot of praying. Believe me, I did a lot of praying. And the worst case was the harder I prayed. And a lot of them came through because God helped me. And I just try to figure out what to do. I wouldn't know to do anything. Another thing is that Margaret Liston, she lived with me in Congo. She was older than I don't know how many years older, but she was so good to me, and she showed me a lot of things when I first came. She never did learn to like obstetrics, delivering babies and things. She did what she had to, but she went to a nursing school there. Whenever anything exciting was happening, like having a baby, somebody having a baby, they sent her to the laundry room to follow up things. So she never really got a chance to really learn to like it and feel at home, that. But one night she took me down.
Yeah, superstition.
Yeah.
That if they
saw the person who shot him, they would die. So a man came in. I guess he'd been hunting with some other people. And he got shot accidentally. But the man that shot him wasn't there. He didn't see him or anything like that. But he was doing real well. They operated on him. They had to soak a lot of little bowls the gunshot made. And he was getting on fire. It all looked like. And the policeman out there brought this man to see him, to see if he had lived or didn't live. They were not going to charge him. They went away, and after they left, the man said, "No, as I saw the man that shot him, he just started flowing down real fast. So I listened to these things, and I'm like overhearing people don't do the same things, but they when they had all that wild stuff in Los Angeles, I thought if everybody knew hymns to sing, they ought to get started doing it. About smallpox. There arrived about 5 different people close to the same time with smallpox. And I think that was about on my birthday. that day, we started vaccinating everybody. I had to go wherever they thought they could get some new enough vaccine that it would do good. And they did. It took us a whole month. The chiefs were asked which day to come with their village people and bring their cards that the government gave us to write down these things that they like smallpox vaccinations and other things. We must have had about 30,000 altogether over a period of time. But we tried to keep the ones that we had there isolated. I went and took some things down myself, wore a gown outside, and went to go to the Then we brought their woods for fire, and we brought everything they would need, water, food, cooked together. And I said, now don't go out, don't go away through the grass to any village or anywhere, please. Well, next time I came, my father was gone. And I said, where did he go? Oh, he said, he did. And here he go, slipped out a back way through the grass and went to the market where a lot of people were. And my heart sank to the bottom of my toes. And I said, look, you could take these germs to all those people in the market. Why did you do that? Oh, I just thought you didn't want us to go out in the road. So it's what you call little by little that things get And I think that was Miss Liz tonight. She was talking to patients, some of them. Those big trees were mango trees. They were real good climbing trees for us kids. Not right there, but up there. Yeah, don't turn out. See, these people with these great big orders, sometimes the doctors were able to operate and take them off.
My gosh.
They are big, aren't
As
they?
big as the child.
That's right.
It's pretty good. What's all that?
Well, I think it must have been down toward a stream, and these were just flowers that grew, They were egrets. Wow. Now, I love this one. This is a little orphan girl. Nolan McDonald took care of her and kept her in her house. And I think she's so cute.
She is. She's happy.
One night there was a baby that was born. The mother died from bleeding. I wasn't there when she had the baby. When the African nurses had delivered it, but it doesn't matter. It can happen occasionally to anybody. And that little baby boy, he seemed okay in every way except his mother died. And nobody knew where she lived. So I took him and another Michigan lady that lived in a sort of duplex house. And I was going to take care of him. night, and she would take care of him the daytime while she was doing other kind of work in school. But you know, after 2 weeks, I could not keep doing it. I lost too much sleep. He was real cute, real sweet, and real fun to take care of. So I just decided the time had come, I'd take him back to the hospital and leave him in the women's ward with the women nurses and bring father down there. I hated to do that, but I felt. They said, well, Mama, if it was your own baby, what would you do? So you see, I got some practice, but I didn't give you away. I didn't take you back.
I'm glad you hung on to me.
Oh, now you see, I'm not too sure what's in that canoe. I think they came to a boat, to a river steamer to pick up some things.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if any of that could be the bill.
Feels very stuffy. It might be.
This flour.
Looks like some flour in there.
And this was at Kasha, the church of Kasha. It's in nearby school buildings. Like a grandpa and grandmother, your grandpa and grandmother used to. Oh, now Dot would love to see this picture.
Is that Dot and Joe?
That's Pritchard. Mr. John Pritchard and his wife and baby, and an African preacher at Kasha. And so Dot said, coming back from the conference, she said, Mrs. Pritchard said she knew you and said to tell you hello. And she said, who are they? You know, because she's not from Africa, so she didn't know. And I wish you could see this picture because she didn't know. Some of the Africans are such great and wonderful people. I wish everybody being here to know them. That's Mr. and Mrs. Jimmy Allen that got into. And you see how it was? That station had stone, rocks. They could use them to build the houses. And we had a row about 5 houses for the missionaries in front. And the elephant trail was about 50 yards beyond. I never thought about the elephant trail, you know. I never thought it. We had leopards and different things that showed up around Blue Dot, but they never had it at Kakenda. And so I guess I told you this story about the leopard.
Tell me again.
Well, one night I went to, this was Kakenda, and a man came, and this is what this lady thinks is so interesting, that I would go out at night with an African man who all he had to take care of us was a machete and a kerosene lantern. But I would go with him to the village to help with one who was having maybe one of these from school. She said, "Man, you're a brave person." I wasn't brave. If they were brave enough, I'd not watch them, and I'd be brave enough. The father of the baby, so. The next morning, if I don't get my stars next day, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. The baby had already come. Everything was fine. And he was so excited about his new baby that he took off to tell his friends about the new baby coming. So I was just staying with her baby. It got almost not quite daylight. And I thought, well, look, here it is 5 o'clock. And if I could manage to get home, if he's not afraid to go around, why should I be? So I had a flashlight, but the batteries were, it was terribly dim. You could hardly see more than this far ahead of you. And we had the big church in the middle of the compound, and that new compound with those nice rock buildings and all. And if I walk along near the church, if I see anything like an elephant or anything, you know, at night I always prayed I wouldn't see one. And in the daytime I prayed that I wanted to see one. So I never saw one. But that particular night, I decided if I could just go home now, maybe I'd catch a little sleep before I have to get up and do things around during the day. So I got home. Like I said, I couldn't see very far ahead of me. I went along a road that would head toward the church a little bit. And I got home all right. It was probably near 6 o'clock in the morning. And I went to bed. And just like this is not one house here, but like in Oak Hills where we have houses, and a certain house facing between in the residential district. That's the way it was there. There's 5 houses. So my house was on the end, and then the Wests lived in the next house, and then there was a road, a car, big enough for a car, that went up toward the church. And another house until there were 3 more houses on that side of this road. And somebody came and woke me up at 7 o'clock and said, Mama, there's a leopard at Mr. Allen's house in their chicken yard. Do you want to come and see it? Oh, I've been up all night. I wasn't real eager, but I went. And here was that man and that lady Pritchard, John Pritchard. And John Pritchard was out there in his pajamas with a gun and several people around this chicken yard. And he was going to kill that leopard if he could, and there was another African with a gun. So I waited a bit, and they didn't know whether it had been killed or not. They shot at it, but didn't know whether it had been killed.
That's the projector.
Oh, that's one picture I didn't have time in there. They thought they'd shot it, but they weren't absolutely sure. And what happened was that was not very far from where I came. It was about one house, one missionary home between my house and where the servant was. And it wasn't a real heavy chicken wire. There were holes in it about this big. And Mr. and Mrs. Allen had raised, they had some ducks, and they raised a whole nest of 11 ducks had grown up very nicely. And then Bill Worth had water for the missionaries who wanted to water from South Africa. Each one wanted about 50 little chicks to to come up by air from South Africa, and the powdered food from a week of racing from there. So he also had a couple of whatever grew out of all that bunch of match days that came up from South Africa. And they weren't sure that the leopard was killed. He was inside of a very little chicken nest. It was about this wide from here to that long, about as long as that block was with a grass roof on it. So they could see through the door, but they didn't know that the leopard was doing. If it was alive or dead, so they were afraid to go close to it. But I was outside the fence, and outside I was see waiting to see what it would do. And so they shot several times. Finally, somebody thought, well, surely done that. Well, they threw a match on top of the grass roof of the little chicken house. And it burned, and the leopard didn't come back. They knew it must be dead, so somebody was dead. And they looked close, and it was dead, and they got away. Well, that leopard had apparently been caught in a trap, and it was almost like a rope, about half as metal rope, like about half as wide as my little finger. And then from the noose around the paw, about this long, he must have chewed that off somehow. I mean, to leave it about this long, of course, it hurt, I guess, if he was trying to get out of the trap. And he kind of came in there. He wasn't just hungry. He slashed the throats of all those ducks and chickens, all killed them. And how he got in was because there was some 50-gallon drums lying on their side that they had put peanuts and corn and different things like that for the kitchen up at the school. And so they got that. I've never seen one of that part before. People were very much rejoicing about it. I didn't sleep so much that day. But I knew God took care of me from there. I can't say I was living in warfare later if I really did, but I didn't even know there were any leopards around there. There were, but we don't have leopards around there. And occasionally some African had gotten attacked by one. But the doctor was away one time when the leopard came. He just slashed the man's arm. And the doctor was gone at that time, but we had a real good African nurse in there who had been taught. He could set bones, so I never had to try to. And he could also sew up places, but he usually come and ask me what I thought, what to do. And so on this occasion, I had no experience with that, but I just told him this, and those were the early days of sewing and penicillin. Those antibiotics, the early days of it. So I said, well, I think you ought to just sprinkle a little sulfur powder. I thought to kill the germs, and I was so wrong. When the doctor came back, I told him what we did. He said, you never sew up an infected place like that, never. But I did a lot of praying when we did that. So I think God took care of us a lot of times and took care of the patient a lot of times. builders that we read a lot of books and we do a lot of.
Yeah.
You know something, I don't know what time it is.
Are you getting tired?
No, I'm not tired. I didn't know at the front, around at the front office that people come in after 9. Oh yeah, that's Bougainvillea.
What?
Bougainvillea.
Say that real slow.
Bougainvillea.
That's the purple flower?
Yes, they have different colors, but those things are very beautiful in tropical countries. Now this was in Leopoldville,
Which is now
Kinshasa,
that's right.
and they had a lot of those, and they had real nicely trimmed yards.
Is that some kind of magnolia or something?
No, it's just different. That's pretty. That's by the Congo River too. That's down near that Union Mission House. There's the paddleboard boat. It doesn't mean that was the Lapsy, but we had one like that. Now I think there are only 2 going up and down the river. And they burned wood, and they'd have wood ready like that. And every night they had to stop. Those little boats that went on the river, and the people on the land that carried the wood, I guess, they would load up.
I think I got that one in upside down.
I don't know.
Some of them it's hard to tell.
There's reflection because they were so.
It's a big cotton cloud over there. Somebody enjoyed taking pictures of clouds.
Yeah, that was when I was young. What a great joy. I'd go out, take these pictures of the
Good
sunrises. They had good sunrises and sunsets. That looks like no time in the lake where we did vacation. And when the missionaries had a sailboat. We loved that. I don't know exactly who that is, but I know that one day the Worth family lived right next door to me, and they used to go out on the river, fish and different things. And Daddy had pretty strong ideas about what he thought was right and what he thought was wrong. And he said, we have never had any African sleeping sickness, but he said, I think we ought to trust God, but we ought to take chances. We don't need to go down there on the river fishing and be bitten by a tsetse fly and catch African sleep sickness. Because that's where the tsetse flies live. you know, in bushy places along rivers. So I obeyed my father for many years, and I never went until I grew up. And then one vacation, we were at Congo, and a number of the missionaries were going to go take their boats and go fishing, and I was invited to go also because I never had been. And so they took me along. And do you know that day I was the only one that caught a fish, and it was a tiger, 8-pound tiger fish. They had bait. They put bait on the hook, and we had landed on a sandbank where we were going to eat our lunch. And while they were getting ready for lunch, then Mr. Worth handed me this rod and reel, and they'd already put the bait on it and thrown it out for me. You know? And they said,
didn't have to do anything but reel it in, did you?
Yeah, that's all. But I was so scared when I knew I caught one. I was afraid it would get away and flop back in the river. But that was a real nice thing. And those teeth were like needles. I mean, they were tiger fish, is what they called them.
And fangs.
And John Johnson, not John Johnson, but whatever Johnson it was, you know, lived at Rayford. And liked us. June Johnson. He liked us real much. And I said, I'll give you the head of this. I mean, the skull and the teeth of this fish. And he was real pleased about that. And I kept it. Showed it to a lot of people.
Nice. So it's
one time I went.
Deer?
I told some of the missionaries, I don't know which one, but I said, you know, I have never, people that are married, their wives go with them. And they've seen some of it. Now, this is another one I wanted. These are nurses, African nurses. And a lot of people would come in to the hospital in a hammock. So all you had to do was, I told the young people, I said, now, you know, you don't have a lot to give, money or anything, to God's work. But I said, all of you are young and strong, and if you see that somebody needs help to get to the hospital, that would be the way to do it. And you know what one of them said?
What?
And I thought, and that was the hospital at Lubongai, right there. I said, so one of them said, you know, he said, we would like to do that, but if something happens to the patient and they die on the way in, they'll blame us. And that sounds like little things we do.
Sure does. Sounds very familiar.
And this may have been Lobito Bay outside of at the coast of Angola, because we came out that way one time. Caught a boat there. They had beautiful light-colored homes, the Portuguese did. But a lot of things that happened in that area. Of fighting and stuff like that.
Oh boy, you're gonna like this one. Is that all the dead ducks and chickens? And your leopard?
Yeah, that's right. That is the leopard. And all the ducks and chickens. And I guess if you'd have slashed me, I'd have been just like,
You'd have been there too.
well, I'm going to tell you something. God sort of takes care of you.
Sure did then. Is that Bill Rule again?
Yeah. I think I need to call Bill Rule sometime. I don't think I get over there by myself.
Maybe I can take you over if you get in touch with him.
Or maybe you can when you come back from your trip.
Well, there's some elephants.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you the story about Bill Worth and the elephant.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about Bill Worth and the elephant.
There had been an elephant that had been sort of tromping around in the students' gardens. He taught them how to do good agriculture. And it made him real upset when he heard that an elephant got in there and tore up the place. So he invited me and a couple of other people with him to go near there. Well, near the woods where this elephant was, they said. And they said, can't you hear the elephant? You know, I'd never seen a movie over here with an elephant in it to know how to sound it. So I kept saying, no, I don't hear anything. Well, he was mad at that elephant, and he and his African agriculture man that helped him with the teaching the students agriculture. They went up and followed the tracks, and he shot the elephant right on the forehead. But of course, it just glanced off and didn't do a thing. And then they hid in the tall grass. And I understand that elephants don't see very well. Well, the elephant didn't bother them there, passed on. But that night, the elephant came down. It wasn't a mountain, but a sort of a hill where we used to go up for picnics and stuff. And walk down it. I guess they walked along that old elephant trail. Passed right by my garden and didn't do a thing to it. When I'm passing some other people's gardens, got down to Bill's big garden where he'd done a lot of experimental stuff for the school. He chopped that thing. He had big footprints all over the place and tore it all up. Just like he knew who had shot him.
So the old story holds true.
But I tell you, after that, elephants got to be more real to me when I saw their tracks around.
That's not an elephant.
That's a hippo, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Bill went out, Dr. Rule, I think, went out and they killed a hippo. Often you didn't get the hippos pulled up in time, and it started to get a little bit smelly. But this one was good, and it was, meat didn't smell bad or anything. They got it back right away.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought it in, and he was going to make hippo burgers out. We didn't use all the meat for ourselves, but it was for the schools and the African people and all too. But they did have some hippo burgers. course, everybody was glad to have some. Now that's a nice looking village, and I think this may have been a leprosy camp. But anyway, they built nice houses and they lived in. And they kept it clean. They swept it with branches. They made brooms and swept it instead of putting grass around. They kept it swept.
Part of the same camp?
I don't know if that's just where. It could be part of near the Little Bird. And look, let me show you something else. Do you see down that grass roof house there? They have white things there. That's manioc. Manioc roots. And
that's what they make that paste out of?
Yeah. They're things about this long. Maybe not as thick as my arm. Mm-hmm. But they have to soak them for a number of days first in water outdoors.
And that's a staple food, isn't
it? To take the poison out.
Oh, yeah.
And then they dry them. They put them up on the roof to dry. And after they've dried real well, sometimes then they keep their food like that in their houses. Those houses with grass roofs are good places to keep food because to keep warm a lot of times they have a little fire.
So that's what's on that. That's what's on top of the roof.
Yeah, okay. That's what it is. And when it gets real dry, they pound it into flour that they want to use in. And I used to come by when I came by at night, maybe 2 a.m. You'd hear the cocks crowing and the women out beating their cornmeal and manioc flour away in the night. And I can't say exactly where this was. It could have been around the Little Bird or one of the, And this is at Lubungai, that church at Lubungai. But it just fell apart. And when
how old was it?
Well, if you consider, Carol Stigall went out there for a visit.